Welcome to Tales for Learners. Have you ever wondered why some people learn English so fast while others struggle for years and still feel stuck? I used to ask myself that every single day. For almost 3 years, I watched videos, read books, tried grammar lessons, but nothing worked. Then one tiny habit changed everything. And that's the story I want to share with you today. Because this story is not about luck or talent. It's about a real plan. 5 exact steps you can copy starting today. Let's start from the beginning. It was a rainy morning in my small town. I remember holding my phone and trying to understand an English YouTube video. The speaker talked so fast that the words sounded like music, not language. I replayed one sentence again and again, but I still couldn't understand it. That moment, I felt 2 emotions at the same time: frustration and fire. Frustration because I couldn't follow even simple English. Fire because deep inside, I knew I had to change the way I was learning. Something told me there must be another way. That night, I made a promise to myself. For the next 90 days, I would stop studying English and start living it. I didn't know what that meant yet, but this idea became the seed of everything that followed. The first thing I did was simple. I stopped reading grammar books. Instead, I decided to listen like a child. Think about it. Children learn their mother tongue not by studying grammar, but by listening, imitating, repeating. So, for 1 full week, I made listening my religion. Every morning, I played English podcasts during breakfast, while walking, while bathing. At first, I didn't understand much, but I didn't stop. My rule was, no translation, only exposure. The magic started on day 7. I was walking down the road when I suddenly understood a complete sentence from the podcast. Take your time. Those 3 words felt like gold. And that day, I started my first habit: daily listening with meaning. Let me share how this habit works. Each time you listen and catch a new phrase, stop for a second. Say it out loud. Then repeat it 3 times in your mind. Take your time, meaning don't hurry, simple. But that moment you connect sound, meaning, and feeling, it becomes yours. That's the secret. I began collecting such small phrases like precious stones. What's going on? I've got you. No worries. You nailed it. Each one felt like a tiny win, and the more wins I collected, the more motivated I felt. Slowly, my brain started recognizing patterns. English was no longer noise. It became rhythm. One evening, I met a foreign tourist near my local cafe. She asked, "Hey, is there any bookshop nearby?" Without thinking, I replied, "Yeah, just go straight and turn left near the traffic signal." That moment was electric. I realized my brain had just spoken English automatically. No translation, no fear. That was the first time I truly felt fluent. Not perfect, but fluent. I went home and wrote in my notebook, if I can understand and reply naturally, I can learn anything. That became my mantra. Now let's talk about what made it all possible. The 5-step plan. The first step is called immersive listening. I already gave you a taste, but here's the exact method I used. Step 1. Choose one 10-minute video daily that you love. It could be a story, podcast, or TED Talk. Step 2. Listen without subtitles first. Don't panic if you don't get it. Step 3. Then listen again with English subtitles. Pause and repeat every line you like. Step 4. Imitate the tone and pronunciation. Step 5. Finally, listen once again without reading. Do this daily for just 20 minutes, and your brain starts building a sound map of English. It's like installing the language in your system. After 2 weeks, you'll begin hearing patterns everywhere. The second step is speaking in echo. It's a method I created accidentally. Each time I watched a video, I started repeating the last few words of every sentence immediately after the speaker, like an echo. It sounds funny, but it works like magic. For example, if the speaker says, "I can't believe it," I would instantly say, "Believe it." This keeps your mouth moving, your mind alert, and your pronunciation sharp. It also removes hesitation because you stop overthinking. After 2 weeks of echoing, my tongue began to move naturally. I could feel the rhythm of English inside my body. Let's pause for a second here. Repeat after me. Take your time. Meaning, don't rush. Use it next time your friend is nervous or stressed. Now another one, you nailed it. Meaning, you did it perfectly. Use it when someone succeeds or performs well. Repeat it after me. You nailed it. Good. See? That's how we train our speaking muscle. At this point, you might be wondering, but what about grammar? I get it. Everyone worries about grammar. But here's the truth. Grammar is not your enemy, it's your shadow. When you listen and speak naturally, grammar follows you silently. You don't need to chase it. Think of it this way. When you ride a bicycle, you don't keep calculating balance. You just ride. Grammar works the same way. Once your brain hears enough correct patterns, it automatically builds grammar sense. During the second month of my journey, I focused on writing, but not the boring kind. Every night I wrote one short paragraph about my day. Simple English, no translation. I didn't check for mistakes. The goal was expression, not perfection. Here's an example from my notebook. Today I talked to a foreigner. I felt nervous but excited. I realized I can speak English if I stay calm. Simple, right? But these small writings were building my identity as an English speaker. I wasn't studying English anymore. I was living it. By the end of the second month, I had filled an entire diary. And guess what? When I read my first page again, I was shocked. The difference was huge. My sentences became smoother, my thoughts clearer. That's when I discovered step 3, daily output practice. Language is not something you have, it's something you do. Every time you speak or write, you're polishing your inner mirror. Without output, input dies. So here's your task. Every day, produce something small in English. A 30-second voice note, a journal entry, a comment under a video. Anything, but do it daily. I remember one morning I recorded myself reading a paragraph aloud. When I listened back, I laughed. My pronunciation was terrible. But instead of feeling bad, I felt proud, because now I could hear myself improving. That small recording habit became my daily mirror. Let's practice together. Say this sentence out loud. I am improving every single day. Again, I am improving every single day. One more time, slowly. I am improving every single day. That's affirmation through English. When you say it daily, it rewires your confidence. After 45 days, something beautiful happened. I no longer felt fear before speaking. I started thinking in English automatically. I would even dream in English sometimes. That's when I realized immersion works faster than force. But there was still one step missing: connection. Around day 50, I joined an online speaking club. It wasn't fancy, just a small group of learners like me from India, Brazil, Egypt. Every night we met for 30 minutes. Our rule was no judging, no grammar correction, just conversation. We shared stories, habits, and sometimes even sang songs. That experience changed my life. For the first time, I felt part of an English world. It wasn't about perfect accent or vocabulary. It was about connection. And that's when I learned the most important lesson of all. English is not a subject. It's a relationship. You build that relationship every time you listen, speak, or write. So let me pause here and summarize what we've covered so far. Start listening daily, not just hearing, but understanding feelings. Echo what you hear. Train your tongue and rhythm. Write your thoughts daily. Build confidence from expression. Connect with people. Make English emotional. These steps sound simple, but they compound powerfully. Like drops of water filling a glass, every small effort adds up until one day it overflows. As I reached the end of my 3rd month, I looked back and realized I could watch English movies without subtitles. I could talk to strangers without fear. And most importantly, I could think in English naturally. It wasn't luck. It was the result of small, consistent habits. That's why I always tell my students, don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. Perfection will follow you quietly. But the story doesn't end here. Because what happened next took my journey to another level. A level where English became not just a language, but a superpower. Let's move to the next part, because what I discovered next will completely change the way you look at learning. When I crossed the first 3 months, something inside me had shifted. I was no longer that confused learner who tried to memorize grammar rules. I had become an explorer, someone who enjoyed discovering the rhythm of English in everyday life. Yet, a question stayed in my mind. How can I move from being fluent enough to being natural? I could express ideas, but sometimes my sentences sounded stiff, like a robot following a script. I wanted to sound alive, like the speakers I'd listened to on podcasts. That desire led me to my next discovery, rhythm and emotion. One evening, I sat in my room listening to a motivational speaker. The way he spoke was music. His sentences danced. His pauses had weight. I replayed his speech 3 times and finally realized the secret. It wasn't only the words, it was how he said them. I decided that night to train my tone. Every morning, I picked one short clip from a podcast or a movie scene and shadowed it. I repeated it exactly with emotion, not just sound. If the speaker laughed, I smiled. If they paused, I paused. Slowly, I began to feel the melody of English. For example, I shadowed a line from a movie. It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. I repeated it 20 times, trying to feel the emotion behind every word. That exercise gave me a strange joy. I could sense the heartbeat of English. One day, during a conversation with a friend online, he said, "Dude, your English sounds different now. It's like you're performing, not speaking." That comment opened my eyes. He didn't mean I was acting. He meant I was alive in my speech. I was expressing, not translating. That's when I understood step 4 of my plan. Emotional expression. English is not just vocabulary or grammar. It's emotion carried through sound. When you connect words to feelings, people listen longer and you remember faster. I started making every phrase emotional. Instead of saying, "I'm happy," I'd say it with a small smile, letting my voice rise gently. "I'm happy." Instead of "I'm sad," I'd say it slower, softer. "I'm sad." This emotional mapping built deep memory connections in my brain. I was no longer remembering words, I was remembering feelings. Here's something you can try right now. Say this phrase aloud. Take your time. Now imagine your friend is worried and you're comforting them. Say it again slowly, with warmth. Take your time. Feel the difference? That emotion makes the language stick. Another example. You nailed it. Say it like you're proud of your friend. You nailed it. That tone, that smile, that's learning with emotion. During that phase, I also began noticing a strange phenomenon. My brain was automatically picking up expressions from movies without me trying. For instance, I started using kind of, sort of, you know what I mean, and to be honest. They just slipped naturally into my speech. That's when I realized that subconscious learning is the real power of immersion. When your brain relaxes, it absorbs faster. I started watching English shows, not for study, but for enjoyment. Friends, The Office, TED Talks, and motivational videos became my classroom. But there was one rule: no subtitles after the first week. My brain protested at first. It wanted comfort, but I reminded myself, growth feels uncomfortable at first. After a month, I could catch jokes, sarcasm, and tiny details I had missed earlier. That's the invisible layer of fluency, understanding tone, emotion, and hidden meaning. Around this time, I created my fifth and final step: micro-conversations. Here's how it worked. I set small talking challenges for myself every day. For example, Day 1, talk to yourself for 2 minutes describing what you see around you. Day 2, explain your favorite movie plot aloud. Day 3, pretend you're interviewing yourself about your goals. Day 4, describe your day while cooking or walking. No audience, no pressure, just you and your voice. This daily conversation habit trained my spontaneity. It taught my brain to respond instantly in English, without pausing to translate. Let's try a mini version right now. Look around wherever you are and describe one thing you see. For example, I see a cup of coffee. It looks warm. The smell is rich. Keep going for 30 seconds. Don't worry about mistakes. Your brain is learning rhythm. In the 5th month, I noticed a magical moment. I was sitting in a cafe, and 2 tourists were chatting nearby. I wasn't trying to listen, but suddenly I understood their entire conversation without focusing. That was the moment I knew English had become part of my subconscious. I smiled quietly, the same joy a musician feels when they can play without reading notes. But let me be honest. It wasn't always smooth. There were days I felt stuck, days when I doubted myself. On those days, I remembered something powerful. Motivation is temporary, but routine is permanent. So even when I didn't feel like practicing, I still listened, still spoke, still wrote. I treated it like brushing my teeth. No emotion, just habit. That discipline built momentum. One morning I recorded myself again. This time I spoke freely for 3 minutes about my favorite book. When I listened, I was shocked. My pace was natural, my grammar automatic, my confidence real. That day, I whispered to myself, I did it. But what really made the difference wasn't only the steps, it was the mindset behind them. Here's the truth most learners miss. Fluency is not built in classrooms. It's built in moments of courage. Every time you open your mouth despite fear, you grow. Every time you make a mistake and keep going, you grow faster. So if you ever feel shy, remember this phrase: courage first, fluency next. Say it with me now. Courage first, fluency next. That line carried me through hundreds of nervous moments. By the 6th month, English had changed my life completely. I was thinking in English, writing in English, even dreaming in English. But more than language, I had built discipline, patience, and belief in myself. To keep my progress alive, I created a system called the 33 Rule. For the next month, I promised to listen for 30 minutes every morning, speak for 3 minutes every day, that's all. 30 minutes in, 3 minutes out. Consistency over intensity. Within weeks, my fluency doubled again. Because the secret of language learning is simple. Exposure plus repetition plus emotion. Mastery. Here's another quick phrase check before we continue. Hang in there, meaning don't give up, stay strong, repeat it, hang in there. Use it whenever life feels tough. Another one, piece of cake, meaning something easy. Say it smiling. That exam was a piece of cake. Notice how your tongue and face move differently? That's how fluency feels, alive, expressive, human. As the months passed, English stopped being a subject for me. It became a way of thinking. I started reading motivational books, watching English interviews, and writing reflections in my diary. One of my diary entries said, "Language is not what you learn, it's what you become." That line still stays with me because English taught me more than words. It taught me how to think clearly, how to listen deeply, how to connect with people beyond borders. Whenever students ask me, "How can I learn English fast?" I tell them this story. Not because my way is special, but because it's human. It's simple habits done consistently, listening, echoing, writing, expressing, and connecting. That's it. No secret grammar formula, no magic app, just daily action. And here's a small truth. You don't need 6 months to start speaking fluently. You can start today. Right after this video, go find one English video you love. Listen, echo, write, and speak. Don't wait for confidence. Confidence will come running after you once you move. As the final weeks of my 6-month challenge approached, I began mentoring a few friends who wanted to follow the same plan. I told them, start with 5 minutes a day. Some laughed, thinking it was too little, but after 1 month, their results were visible. That's when I learned the final lesson. Progress loves simplicity. Before we move into the next part of this story, repeat these affirmations with me slowly. I am not afraid of mistakes. I am learning faster than I think. I can speak English confidently. Every word I speak brings me closer to fluency. Say them daily, and you'll feel the shift, because your brain listens to what you repeat. Now, what happened next will surprise you. My story took a turn that made me realize how English can open doors far beyond communication. It can transform who you are. So when I realized that passive listening wasn't enough, I decided to flip the script. Instead of just hearing English, I started using English, but in a structured, natural way. That's where step 3 comes in. The speaking shadow technique. Now, what is this technique? Imagine you're watching an English video, maybe a scene from a movie or a motivational speech. You play it, and as the speaker talks, you repeat, not after them, but with them, word for word, matching their tone, rhythm, and emotion. You literally become their echo, their shadow. I remember practicing this with speeches by Steve Jobs and short clips from TV shows like Friends. At first, I felt silly, repeating lines aloud in my small room. But after just a week, I noticed something incredible. I was no longer translating from my native language before speaking. My mouth was adjusting to the flow of English. My tongue and lips began forming words naturally. And this is what most learners miss. Fluency is not about knowing more words. It's about training your mouth to move effortlessly. You can't read your way into fluency. You have to speak your way into it. Now, you might ask, but I don't have anyone to talk to every day. That's exactly why the shadowing method is powerful. You don't need anyone. You can shadow YouTube videos, podcasts, movies, even English songs. Here's a small daily challenge I used. Pick a 2-minute video from any native speaker. Shadow it 3 times in one sitting. Record your voice on the 3rd attempt and listen back. It's not easy at first, but once you hear your progress, your pronunciation improving, your pauses disappearing, you'll feel unstoppable. By the end of the 2nd month, I could imitate the tone and rhythm of native speakers. My friends started noticing the change. They said, "You sound different, more confident, more fluent." But there's one more thing that made this transformation even faster. It wasn't just about listening and shadowing. It was about using what I learned instantly. That brings us to step 4, active output. This is the stage where you start living in English. I built my mini English world. Every thought, every task, every note, I forced myself to do it in English. When I walked to the market, I described what I saw in English in my head. "That's a red car. The sky is cloudy today. I'm going to buy some bread." You may think it's simple, but this constant inner monologue rewires your brain. It makes English your default mode of thinking. And once you start thinking in English, speaking becomes effortless. But I didn't stop there. I started writing a daily reflection journal. Just 5 minutes every night. I'd write things like, "Today I learned 3 new idioms," or "I made a mistake in pronunciation today, but that's okay." Over time, this journal became my language progress diary. The key point? Consistency over perfection. I didn't care about mistakes. I cared about progress. I made hundreds of grammar errors, but I kept going. Now here's where the story takes a real turn. Around month 3, I started interacting with real people online, not just passively watching videos. I joined English-speaking communities on Reddit, Quora, and even voice chat servers. That was the first time I had to think fast and respond instantly. At first, I froze. My hands would sweat. I'd forget simple words like because or although. But after a week of real conversations, I realized something. Speaking English is not about being perfect. It's about communicating emotion. People understood me even when I made mistakes, because I spoke with confidence and intent. That gave me a huge boost. So if you're listening right now and wondering, when will I sound natural? The answer is this. When you stop waiting for perfect English and start using the imperfect English you already have. Because real fluency is born from action, not theory. By the end of 3 months, my transformation shocked even me. I could hold 30-minute conversations with native speakers. I was watching full movies without subtitles. I had built a daily system that made English feel like breathing. Now let's summarize the system so far. Step 1, set the vision, a clear 3 to 6 month goal. Step 2, input, immersive, meaningful listening. Step 3, shadow technique, mimic native flow. Step 4, active output, speak, write, and think in English. These 4 steps form the foundation, but there's still one final step that takes everything to a completely new level. Step 5, momentum and mastery. This step is where your learning becomes automatic. You no longer study English consciously. You live it. Let's move to this final part of the journey, where fluency becomes your identity. Step 5 begins with building momentum. Because motivation fades, but momentum keeps you moving even on the tough days. How? By building micro habits that are so small they're almost impossible to skip. For example, 1 minute of shadowing after brushing your teeth. Writing 1 sentence in your English journal every night. Listening to 1 short video while having breakfast. Small daily actions compound. You don't need 2 hours a day. You need 2 minutes done every day. When I started stacking these habits, I stopped relying on motivation. I didn't decide to study English. It became part of my lifestyle. And here's the part that changed my life completely. I started teaching what I learned. It sounds crazy. I was still learning myself. But by explaining small concepts to others, I reinforced my own understanding. Whether it was on YouTube comments, Reddit threads, or short videos, every time I shared what I learned, my confidence grew. Because the best way to master something is to teach it. Soon, English wasn't something I practiced. It was something I lived. Now, let's go deeper into this final stage, where your habits, mindset, and environment merge to make fluency permanent. Momentum is like a snowball. It starts small, almost invisible, but if you keep rolling it, day after day, it becomes unstoppable. That's exactly what I built in my English journey. I no longer woke up thinking, I have to study English today. It became automatic, part of my rhythm. In this stage, step 5, momentum and mastery, is where everything changes. It's not about learning faster. It's about staying in motion, even on the slow days. Because the truth is, you won't feel motivated every morning. You'll get busy, tired, distracted. That's normal. The key is to build systems that carry you forward when motivation fails. I used 3 systems that kept me consistent. System 1, the morning input ritual. Every morning, before touching my phone or checking messages, I played a 10-minute English podcast. Sometimes it was an interview, sometimes an audiobook. I didn't focus on understanding everything. I just listened. That one ritual set my brain into English mode for the day. System 2, the daily output trigger. I connected my speaking practice with something I already did every day, like making tea. Every time I brewed tea, I spoke out loud in English about my day. Today, I have a lot to do. I'll call my friend later. The weather is nice. This trigger made sure I practiced daily, no matter how busy life got. System 3, the reflection habit. Before sleeping, I'd reflect on one thing I learned that day. Sometimes it was a phrase, sometimes a pronunciation pattern, sometimes just a quote. I'd say it out loud once, write it down once, and go to bed feeling like I'd grown, even a little. And that little bit of progress, done daily, created a chain I never wanted to break. But beyond these systems, there's something deeper, something mental. Because the biggest enemy of progress isn't lack of time or intelligence, it's self-doubt. There were days I'd ask myself, will I ever speak like a native? Maybe I'm just not good at this. But one idea saved me. You don't have to be perfect to be fluent. You just have to be understood. That realization broke the pressure I carried. I stopped chasing perfection and started chasing connection. Every time I spoke with someone in English, even if I made 10 mistakes, I celebrated the fact that I communicated. Because language is not a test, it's a tool. It's meant to connect you, not judge you. And that shift in mindset, from perfection to progress, made me fearless. Here's a secret most learners miss. Fluency doesn't happen because you master grammar. It happens because you lose fear. The moment you stop being afraid of sounding wrong, you sound more natural. That's why, in my journey, I made mistakes publicly. I joined English-speaking forums and voice chats, even though I knew I'd mess up. I posted videos of myself practicing pronunciation and invited feedback. Every mistake became a teacher. In just a few weeks, I started noticing how my brain was reacting differently. I wasn't translating before speaking anymore. I was thinking directly in English. That's the moment I realized. English had become my second nature. But here's where it gets interesting. When English becomes part of your identity, it opens doors you never imagined. For me, English was no longer just a language. It became my voice to the world. I could now understand interviews, connect with people from different countries, and even start creating content in English. And that's what mastery really means. Not knowing every word in the dictionary, but being able to express your ideas clearly and confidently. To help you get there, let me share my 3 pillars of mastery that I built after those first 6 months. Authentic input. Keep surrounding yourself with real English. Watch, listen, and read only what you enjoy. Because if it doesn't interest you, it won't stick. Passion accelerates memory. Daily output. Don't just consume English, produce it. Speak, write, post, or even think out loud. Every output reinforces what you learned 10 times faster. Identity immersion. Stop saying, "I'm learning English." Start saying, "I'm an English communicator." You become what you identify with. When English becomes part of who you are, you never stop improving. I remember a quote that changed everything for me. First you create your habits, then your habits create you. And that's exactly what happened. My habits built a fluent version of myself. By month 6, I wasn't just fluent, I was confident. I could switch between topics, travel, work, emotions, even humor, in English naturally. And I realized something profound. I didn't finish learning English. I became someone who grows in it every day. That's the difference between learners who quit after a few months and those who become fluent for life. One group studies English like a subject. The other lives it like a lifestyle. So if you're watching this video, wondering how to start small, but start now. The first word, the first sentence, the first 10 minutes a day, they all matter. Because the version of you 6 months from now will thank you for the effort you make today. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. I'll break down the exact daily routine I followed, hour by hour, and how you can copy it to make English improvement automatic. This is where the strategy becomes a step-by-step action plan, a real system you can start tomorrow morning. Let's get practical now. You've heard the journey, you've seen the transformation, but the question that really matters is, what did the exact daily routine look like? How can you copy it and make it your own? So let's go deep into my 24-hour English fluency plan, the one that helped me go from hesitant sentences to natural confidence in 3 to 6 months. You can adapt this routine whether you're a student, working professional, or someone with just an hour a day. The secret is consistency, not intensity. Let's start from the morning. Morning routine, 30-45 minutes. Right after waking up, your brain is fresh. This is when you should feed it with English input. Don't check social media yet. Instead, do this. 10 minutes. English immersion. Play a short motivational video, a podcast, or an interview in English. Don't worry about understanding everything. Just let your ears adjust. Listening first thing in the morning sets your brain into English mode. 15 minutes shadowing practice. Pick one short clip, 1-2 minutes. Play it and shadow the speaker's words, matching their tone and rhythm. Do this 3 times. First to understand, second to repeat, third to record yourself. Listen to your recording. This feedback loop improves fluency faster than anything else. 10 minutes, affirmations and mindset reset. Say out loud, "I'm improving every day. My English is becoming natural. Mistakes are my teachers." It sounds simple, but mindset is 50% of success. If you're busy, even 20 minutes of this morning routine will keep your momentum alive. Daytime routine throughout the day. Here's how I built micro habits that fit into my daily schedule. No special time needed. When walking, I described what I saw in English. When thinking about my plans, I said them in English inside my head. When using my phone, I switched all apps to English language settings. During breaks, I watched short clips, TED Talks, English learning shorts, or movie scenes, all in English. These little actions built an invisible English environment around me. I didn't just study English, I lived it. And here's the trick. Every time I learned a new word or phrase, I forced myself to use it within the next few hours. For example, if I learned the word curious, I'd say, I'm curious about this topic. Or, I've always been curious about how people think. Using new words instantly locks them into long-term memory. Evening routine, 45-60 minutes. Evening time is perfect for active learning. This is when your brain processes and stores information. 15 minutes. Review your day in English. Think about what you did, what went well, and what you learned. Speak it out loud like a story. Today, I learned 3 new expressions. I made a mistake but corrected it. 20 minutes. Focused listening or reading. Choose content that's just slightly above your current level. Challenging but understandable. Subtitles are fine, but only if they help, not distract. 15 minutes. Writing practice. Write a small reflection or journal entry. Don't overthink grammar. The goal is to express ideas freely. Example. Today I watched a video about habits. It inspired me to be more consistent. 10 minutes. Relaxed exposure before bed. Play something light. An English story, soft podcast, or background conversation. Your subconscious will keep absorbing patterns even as you relax. By following this morning to night structure, I wasn't forcing English learning. It blended naturally into my life. Now, if you want to make your own version of this, remember one rule. Never let a day pass without touching English. Even 5 minutes counts. Because the brain rewards consistency more than intensity. Now let's talk about something equally important, tracking progress. Because improvement is invisible when you see yourself every day. You need visible proof that you're growing. Here's how I tracked my progress. Weekly audio check. Every Sunday, I recorded myself speaking for 2 minutes on any topic, my favorite movie, what I did this week, etc. After a month, I'd replay older recordings. Hearing your own improvement is powerful. It motivates you more than any test score. Vocabulary notebook. I maintained a simple digital notebook with 3 columns, new word, meaning, and 1 sentence I made with it. Reviewing it for just 10 minutes daily expanded my active vocabulary. Confidence tracker. Each week I rated myself 1 to 10 on how confident I felt speaking or understanding. Watching that number rise over time kept me emotionally invested. Now here's something you might not expect. I built English immersion weekends. On Sundays, I made it a rule to live fully in English for 24 hours. Everything, music, YouTube, journaling, even inner thoughts, had to be in English. It was fun, like switching into another world. That's when I noticed my brain was no longer translating. English had started to feel natural. If you try this, even once a month, it accelerates your fluency more than any textbook ever could. Let me share a moment that defined my journey. After about 4 months, I joined an online call with native English speakers for the first time. My heart was racing, but when I spoke, I realized they understood every word, not perfectly but clearly. They even said, You sound confident. That's when I knew I had done it. I had built fluency. Now the last part of this system, the mindset and lifestyle that keep your English sharp forever. Because once you achieve fluency, maintaining it is about enjoyment, not effort. In Part 6, we'll explore how to turn your English learning into a lifetime identity. Stay fluent without studying, and even start using English for opportunities, jobs, creativity, or building your own voice online. Fluency is not the end of a journey. It's the beginning of a new one. Once you reach the point where English feels natural, everything changes. You don't just speak better, you think differently. You start to see yourself not as a learner, but as a communicator, a creator, a connector. That's what true mastery feels like, freedom through expression. But here's something people rarely talk about. Maintaining fluency isn't about hard work. It's about staying connected emotionally, mentally, and practically to the language. So in this final part, let's talk about how to live English for life. Let's start with something simple. Replace entertainment with enrichment. When you reach a good level of English, your growth won't come from textbooks anymore. It'll come from real-world content, stories, conversations, and creativity. Instead of thinking, I need to study, start thinking, how can I enjoy English today? That's what I did. I switched my favorite things, movies, YouTube channels, music, even games, to English. I started following creators who inspired me, reading about topics that fascinated me. It didn't feel like studying anymore. It was life, just in another language. That's the first mindset shift. Make English your window to the world, not your subject to pass. Now, the second part. Build your English identity. This is powerful. Tell yourself, English is part of who I am. Every time you speak, write, or listen, you reinforce that identity. When you see yourself as a communicator, you automatically seek opportunities to use the language. I began writing small posts on social media in English, sharing my thoughts, quotes, or short reflections. I joined English discussion groups online and started commenting regularly. Slowly, people responded. I was not just practicing anymore, I was connecting. And that's what makes English unforgettable. Connection. When language becomes part of how you express your ideas, it becomes permanent. Now, let's talk about something I call fluency evolution. Fluency doesn't stay fixed, it grows with you. As your life changes, your English should too. If you're interested in business, start reading articles in that area. If you love psychology, watch English talks about it. Let your interests drive your English. That keeps learning fresh and natural. And don't forget, you'll still make mistakes, even after years. That's normal. Native speakers do too. But at this stage, mistakes are no longer problems. They're just proof that you're using the language freely. So here's how to maintain fluency effortlessly. Keep your input alive. At least 10 to 15 minutes of English listening or reading every day. Keep your output active. Speak or write something in English daily, even if it's short. Keep your curiosity strong. Explore new words, expressions, or cultural ideas. These 3 things make sure you never forget English, because it becomes woven into your daily rhythm. Now, let's end this story with a truth I wish someone had told me earlier. Fluency is not built in classrooms. It's built in moments. The moments you repeat a sentence 10 times until it sounds right. The moments you speak with someone and feel understood. The moments you surprise yourself by thinking in English without effort. It's built in silence, in patience, in small victories that no one else sees. That's why I say, English fluency isn't learned. It's earned through small, daily courage. If you follow the plan I've shared, the 5 steps, the systems, the habits, you'll see it happen. Not overnight, but gradually, beautifully, almost without noticing. One day you'll catch yourself explaining something complex in English and realize, wait, I didn't translate that. I just said it. That's the moment everything changes. And when that happens, don't stop. Help others. Share your journey. Because teaching is the final form of learning. The more you share what you know, the deeper your fluency becomes. So here's your call to action. Starting today, for the next 6 months, create your English vision. Know why you want it. Immerse yourself in meaningful input every single day. Shadow native speakers and train your mouth to move with confidence. Output. Think, write, and speak in English daily without fear of mistakes. Build momentum through small, unbreakable habits. That's it. You don't need hundreds of resources. You just need discipline, curiosity, and time. And remember this line. It carried me through every struggle. You don't need perfect English to change your life. You just need the courage to start using it. Because once you start, everything begins to align. Opportunities open up. Confidence grows. Your voice becomes stronger. And the world, yes, the entire world, starts to understand you. So wherever you are right now, say this quietly to yourself. I'm not just learning English. I'm building the version of me who speaks it with pride. And that version of you? It's already on the way. Keep listening, keep speaking, keep believing. And 6 months from now, when you look back, you won't just see progress. You'll see transformation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing in yourself. And remember, your fluency is not in the future. It begins now.